Hello everyone. So today I'm here with another topic, which is how to choose a database. In previous lectures, we have discussed about monolithic and microservice architecture. So today we will discuss how before writing API of any product or any project, how can choose and what decision factor we need to take in care in order to choose a database. Okay. So let's start with this video. So mainly database are categorized into two categories, right? One is SQL, okay, and other one is NoSQL. Okay. So the question here comes arises like when to choose when, right? When you are going to choose SQL, when you are going to choose NoSQL database, right? So let's discuss with some factors, okay? So before choosing in any databases, there are basically three factors which we need to take care of, right? So first factor is like what is the type of data which we so right. It simply means like what is the nature of the data that we are going to store, whether it is fixed structure kind of thing, right? We know like let's suppose there is a user data coming from login or sign up API, right? And we know these are the fixed constraint of the user, which is never going to change in the future. Or there's something like this. Our data uh, is for now like this. We have four fields, but in the future it can be changed drastically or something like this. Okay, so we need to first decide like what is the type of data which we are going to store, whether they are structured in nature or non-structured in nature. Okay, the second thing we take consider is that will be query pattern, right? So what do you mean by query pattern? So query pattern basically means like whether if we are creating any API, okay? So what amount of queries we are going to run? Will it be simple query? Simple query in the sense it just going on to the table and take all the data and send it to the client, right? It will be this much simpler, or there will be a lot of joins will be going on, a lot of analytics and CPU utilization process will be going to come. Okay, so we need to take care of this also, like what is the nature of query which we'll be using in our project or or in our product. Okay, and then the third thing which we'll consider, amount of scale, right? Like how we are thinking of any product or project in scaling perspective, right? Whether it will be a very small project, okay, or whether it will be a very huge project, okay. So there is a lot of data coming and lot of data will be coming, billions and trillions of data will be coming, right? So we need to like consider these 3 points, okay, and on these points we can decide which database we can uh, take care of, right? So I will mainly these are the factors, but I will divide this into more, okay. So if you are going with, so let's talk about SQL thing, okay. So if you are having a structured data, right? If you are having a structured data, okay. So structured data means you have, you know, everything about your project, everything, you know what amount of keys will be coming from each screen, right? You know, your project scope, like this is the project scope I'm thinking of, and I'm sure there is nothing can be greater or nothing can be less than this, okay. So in that case you can go with SQL, okay. And other thing is that you can go with SQL when you have heavy queries, right? Heavy queries simply means that there are a lot of data coming from different databases, or you can say sorry, different tables, right? There is a user table, then there is a user post table, then there is a user session table, and a lot of like data coming from different tables. Okay, so in that case there can be a huge amount of computation at the database level. Okay, so in that case the SQL databases will be a best suit for you. Okay, and other thing you consider is the asset property. You need to understand like the product or project which you are going to develop. Do it really need asset property or not? If yes, so SQL will be best choice. And nowadays in NoSQL, like in case of MongoDB above 4.2 version, it also supporting ACID property, right? ACID is simply stand for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and D for durability. Okay, so if there is a like a, so both the database support the ACID property. Okay, but if you have something which is known as a locking of row or column, right? Locking of row or table. Okay, in that case the SQL will be ideal choice. Okay, so what is the meaning, what I mean from locking properties is that, let's say you created a booking application. It can be any kind of booking application. It can be like a movie ticket booking application. It can be a train booking application, right? So how the things work there, right? So there something like you get the seat availability of seats, like there is a one seat available. Let's say there is any blockbuster movie have been launched just recently, uh, the Pathan, right? The Pathan movie has launched and it's like housefull. Let's say there are two SRK fans, right? And they are trying to book the single availability seat. Okay, and both of them made a request at the same time. Okay, so how you will decide like which request should go first and which request would would go in the second, right? So for that we will be need some concurrency control. Okay, and in that concurrency control, what we do, we create a lock, right? A row level lock. Okay, and what the row level lock will do, it will lock suppose any, like there is a and there is a B SRK fan, and the A SRK fan request comes first, right? So what it will do, it will first go and lock the completely row, that particular row which it is going to open. Okay, and it will hold. Okay, so the B SRK request will be on hold until unless the A request goes in the success, right, or in the failure, right? So for this type of stuffs, you can go to the SQL database. Okay, and uh, yeah, for these kind of properties, you if you having, and you can see like the nature of product and the project you are having, something like similar to these things, you can go with the SQL database. Okay, so now let's discuss with the case of NoSQL, right? So in the case of NoSQL, uh, the first thing comes up like non. Okay, so the data which you are going to store, it is non-structured, right? You don't know like whether this data is which will be coming, it is fixed or not. It can be like varies from time to time, right? Which is generally happen when you like start a project from scratch. You create a project and you release an MVP application, then their user suggestion comes out, reviews come out, and you just increase and increase and increase, right? Okay, and you just start adding the feature. If you when you are going to add the feature, there will be might be a change in the existing table. There might be some deletion of any key or column, right? When you have something like this, you don't, or another case, you can say you are using a third party application, right? Third party application, let's say you are using something, a payment gateway, which was sending you a webhook, or you can say a confirmation event, but you don't know what is the nature of that particular data. Okay, or you are using any third party music API, which will be saving the data into your database, right? So you won't know like what data uh, will be coming. You might know like four keys are coming from that third party, but what if in the future there is few more addition in the keys, right? If you go with the SQL thing, okay, what you need to do, you need to alter that particular table, right? And you must know, while altering the table, it will do a table lock on entire table. Let's say you have thousands of data and you are now altering and adding one more column, right? What it will do, it will lock the complete table out. So while the locking of the table, right, no updation, insertion, deletion, the CRUD operation, create, read, update, and delete won't be happen. Okay, and let's say if there is adding frequently new more keys in the third party, then you need to alter again and again by writing a migration or SQL script, right? So for the small rows, for the small table, it will be working fine, and you will see there is no affected time. But what if you have billions of rows, right? If you have billions and lakhs of rows already exist, and the third party data is coming and changing the response drastically. Okay, so in that case, if you do alter, if you are going to alter the table, then it will take some amount of time. And in that case, if another request is coming or something, you are doing with that particular table only, or some get APIs fetching all the data from that, will be on hold. Okay, and there can be a cases of request timeout. Okay, so if there is something like this, you don't know what can be the structure of that particular data. Okay, you can go with the NoSQL. Okay, and in the NoSQL data, you can go with non-structured data in that case, and you don't need simple query, right? And you don't need heavy query complexation, right? There is no lot of joins are coming in this particular table. You just need a simple query, you just go and fetch from that particular document. Okay, and you need just 10 keys or something like this, a simple queries, right? So the NoSQL will be a very ideal choice. Okay, and I will further segregate this particular thing in the NoSQL also. Okay, if you have like heavy accent, heavy, let me write it. If you have heavy data, okay, what I mean by heavy data, it simply means that your data is increasing exponentially, right? So today is 200, other day there is 400, right? Then there is 800 and so on. Okay, and your data is increasing exponentially. Okay, and you are using some simple finite amount of queries, right? Finite amount of queries simply means you are just fetching the data, okay, and from a document and serving it to the front end, right? Okay, so in that case, you can go with NoSQL. Okay, and there are one of the database which is Cassandra. Okay, and if you are having limited amount of data, right? Data, right, and little bit complex query, little bit like not simple, but there are some joins and some aggregation work is going on, then you can go with Mongo. Okay, and there is another also data are available. NoSQL database are also available, right? So these are mainly the SQL and the NoSQL database, and they're like these are the factors on which we decide like whether we should go with SQL or whether we should go with NoSQL. Okay, so apart from that, okay, there are some also databases or data stores you can say. So one is our caching. Okay, so what does caching do? So caching, I will create a separate video on this caching. Okay. So what caching do is simply cache your data. It simply stores any data which you are trying to fetch again and again, right? So let's say if you are trying to get a list of available items, let's say, right? And you are going to fetch some feed, right? The user feed. Okay, so what you can do, you can just cache that particular data, okay, instead of getting again and again directly from database. Okay, and if there is new you can say feed is coming, you can simply refresh that particular cache, okay, and get that particular new data from there. Okay, but with the caching thing there is come eventual consistency, right? So eventual consistency, it means like whatever the post you are creating, okay, it doesn't mean it will your post will rely in cache, right? It might be there is in your database, okay, but it's not available in caching, right? What you are doing, you have you have a cron job which simply pushes your post data into cache, okay, and it's simply storing that particular uh, data in the cache and serving from there. Okay, so if you take an example of any social media, let's say Facebook or let's say Instagram, right? What they do, they cache the data, right? If you see the most used thing in these social media is the feed is right. User post little bit, but they just scroll down and down. Okay, if we so what did they do? They just fetch that particular data and store on their cache. Okay, so if you come again, okay, they will directly serve that particular data from your cache. But if someone has created any new post, okay, what they will do, they will clear the cache after some amount of time, okay, and then they will fetch a new data from database into the cache. In that case the new post will be available, so there will be eventual consistency. It doesn't mean if some of my friend has created any post, so it will immediately available, right? Okay, so this so we have covered the caching DB. Then there is come something like time series database. Okay, so what does this time series database do? Okay, so time series database is simply which is bounded by time, right? You can consider this there is a logging, you can say there is something you need to create which log the data. Okay, so what does the time series data will do? uh, you can use for always storing the data in increasingly time manner. Okay, and there will be a read in range, right? Suppose that I've created a project would just log all the API request and response, right? So it will be bounded by a time fashion, right? So this is the time, this is the date, okay, and then there will be a new entry. Okay, this is the time, this is the date, and then there will be a new. Okay, so if you need something like this, okay, so you can go with a time series database. Okay, so that will be there is one of the most battle tested time series database, which is Influx Okay, so if you have something like this which is time bounded, you can use time series database. Then next, if you have analytics kind of thing, like how much users is posting, how much user is creating stories, right? Something like this. So in that case, you can use analytics database, right? Instead of just storing into SQL or NoSQL. There is a dedicated uh, database available there. Okay. So what this analytics database will do? It will simply store your analysis data, like how much user is engaging with this feature and how much user is engaging with that feature. Okay. It's a simple example of this database will be okay. So uh, there will be a scenario, right? Whether you would like think like whether I need to choose NoSQL or a SQL, right? Or both of them, right? In the modern application, basically we use combine of all these databases which I have listed down, right? We use NoSQL with some features, right? We use NoSQL for some features. We use caching, we use time series, we use analytics database, we use Cassandra too, right? If I give you an example, let's say I have Instagram, okay, and I'm just like messaging uh, and chatting with another person. Okay, so there will be like some message ID, some messages. Okay, so I can like if you there is a kind of best friends are chatting, so there will be a lot of messages, right? So if you see a lot of messages, and if we think about the query, it will be a simple query, right? We just need to get the all the messages. There will be a channel ID, on that channel ID what the messages has been done. Okay, and we just need to fetch that particular messages, right? So if you think about that, that will be fall in this heavy data and finite amount of queries. That and then in that case, Cassandra will be one of our best option, right? So if we think about uh, you can say we have products, right? We have products on our any e-commerce application. We have products, right? We in that products uh, there is some finite amount of products will be available there, right? So some products will have images, some products will have quantities, right? Some products will have color. Okay, some products must relies on some another category. Some products might be have some image, some product will not. Okay, so if you see there is a unstructured nature coming from this statement, right? There, so in that case, right, in that case we can use SQL, NoSQL database, right? So there will be a simple queries, right? And there will be a finite amount of, sorry, there is limited amount of data. Okay, so MongoDB will be ideal choice, right? And just I have given you example, like we need to, if I am creating a logging feature, then the time series database will be the one of the best option, right? And if we want to do analytics of the user, if whether the user is going on this page or whether it's going on another page, on which uh, page is making user more engaging, so that thing can be used by analytics database, right? And if we are like fetching the same thing and again, okay, in that case we can use caching. Okay, and the SQL, we have many kind of databases available, right? One is MySQL, right? Other is the more famous one, PostgreSQL, right? And there are others too. Okay, so if you have something case like this, okay, you can go with a SQL database. Like in our case, let's say we have e-commerce application and multiple users are trying to buy. So once the order is submitted successfully, we are going to decrease the quantity. Okay, so there will be asset property, right? And then there will be logging too. Okay, so in that case we can use SQL database. So in modern application we use all the combination of this and all the databases in which are available here, right? Because each database have their own pros and cons, right? So the best will be to like take that particular feature and map whether it is belong to this or any other database, right? And to just uh, push that particular data into that database, right? And by this we can use multiple database and make our application more reliable and fast. Okay, so that's all for this video. Hope you will like this video, and do please watch and do let me uh, your feedback or anything if I have missed, and also please like and subscribe and comment. uh, your feedback will be very helpful for me for improving my video. So that's all for this video. I will meet you in the next video. Thank you.